Once again, you will make mistakes. You are not a bad person if you make mistakes. The question is, how do you respond to those mistakes? Do you immediately say to yourself, hey, what did I do wrong? Let me pay attention. And one of the things I've had to get better at as a teacher as years have gone by, I used to be just really big on the concept. If you get the concept, we're good to go. And unfortunately, what I have learned over time is that kids would lose points on the details. So we have to get the details down pat. Do you guys remember the other day when I said when you graph like that -2 to 5 thing, you better draw a darker line in between? Remember when I was telling you guys all about that? Make sure that you don't mess up that detail. We had 2 kids today not draw the darker line in between. Now, do those kids know how to do the question? Yes. But did they express it the way they're supposed to express it? No. So they made a mistake that cost themselves, which isn't a big deal. Just don't repeat that kind of mistake in the future so that it doesn't hurt yourself. I tutored this girl from Belfort a couple of years ago. Oh, sorry about that. I tutored this girl from Belfort a couple of years ago for the algebra regents. And she's a really smart kid, super, super, super smart. She went to a private school in 8th grade. They had no accelerated math in her private school. No, it was a school up on the North Shore. So what she did was, she took the Regents at the end of 8th grade, even though she didn't take the course. And she got like a 71. Now there's this massive curve on the Regents, and her parents hired me to tutor her for the summertime, and I tutored her, and she learned so much more math. Took the Regents again, got a 79. Now, that doesn't mean she only got about 8 points more right. She actually got 30 more points. But the way the curve is, it only translated out to 9 more points on the test score. And then I said to the dad, I said, there's no way. I said, she knows the math well enough to have gotten in the 90s. I can't believe she got a 79. So the dad asked the school if he could see the test. And what the dad did was he went in with his cell phone, he took pictures of every page of her test. And then I saw the pictures. And what the problem was not that she didn't know how to do the math. She knew how to do the math for every question on that test except one, and it was a 2-point question. So she should have gotten a 98. She lost points due to details. Little things like shading. Little things like, it would say something like, she started with $100 in her bank account, and then she does this function, and the hard part is calculating the function, and then she'll say, how much interest did they make? And the total amount in the new account came out to 400, say. The answer's 300, because it was 400, but then it started with 100, so how much did it go up? 300, but she put 400, because that was the first calculation. So she made little mistakes like that, and it was all of these details that she lost points on. So we have to constantly, during the course of the year, make you aware of the details. The devil is in the details. We can't allow you to just be too casual about how you answer. So, number 1, if f of x is equal to 3 to the x, evaluate f of 3. So that means the input is 3, I get 3 to the third, and what is that, everybody?
27.
27, very good. Okay, next, if f of x is 10 to the x plus 5x, find f of 2. Remember, x is the input, so this is 10 to the input plus 5 times the input. So it's 10 squared plus 5 times 2, which is what, everybody? 110, very good. Find the value of 7 to the 0. What's 7 to the 0?
1.
1, very good. You know how to explain why it's 1? That's not why. That's what it is. That's like going up for me to my wife and going, why'd you go shopping? Because I wanted to go shopping. Why'd you want to go shopping? Because I wanted to go shopping. Spencer.
Okay, so I can explain it pretty crudely because we didn't go very far into this.
You're not going to use any gutter language, are you?
I hope not.
Okay, good. Good, you said crude.
Okay, so essentially if you have an exponent, you can't multiply anything by 0 to get anything besides 0. So in order for anything to make any sense using exponent, okay, no?
Ready?
Hold on. Does it
7
have
to the
anything?
5th over 7 to the 5th.
One.
What's anything divided by itself?
That's
1.
It, that's it.
7 to the 5th. Yeah, I know
I
it
was
is.
going towards.
You were way off. 7 to the 5th divided by 7 to the 5th. Anything divided by itself is 1. Agree? Now, what's the rule for exponents?
Mine, those are
Subtract them. So you get 7 to the 0. So therefore, anything to the 0 power has to equal 1. It works for anything you put up there. Anything except 0 to the 0. 0 to the 0 makes no sense. All right? So, God bless. So, anything to the 0 is 1, that's y. Next. Consider this story. Darryl lives on the 3rd floor. His bike's locked up outside on the ground floor. At 3 p.m. he leaves to run errands. But as he walks down the stairs, he realizes he forgot his wallet. He goes back up the stairs. Then he leaves again and he tries to unlock his bike. He realizes he forgot his keys. One more time he goes back up the stairs. Then he unlocks the bike, blah, blah, blah. All right, I'm just going to sketch it real quick. Ready? He goes down, forgets his keys in the middle, goes back up, gets his keys. Then he's got to go down to the bike. Oops! Because the bike's further down, right? Then he's got to go back up. And then he comes and he hustles down to the bike.
Mr. Lincoln.
Yes. What? Oh, you didn't have that on your paper?
It's like really tiny.
It's really tiny, okay.
There are 4 different graphs
Oh,
and
we
they have a
don't.
different question.
Oh, I didn't even
Oh,
bother to read.
well, that's the gist for this particular one of the 4, and we'll let that go and be good enough. Okay, so, now,
I think that's
I want to calm you a little bit and get you a little aware of exactly what it is we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is introduce. We're not trying to teach you everything about an exponential function. We're not trying to teach you everything about a quadratic function or a linear function. We're just trying to say, hey, when you see something squared, it's quadratic. Hey, when you see something to the x power, that's an example of exponential. Quadratics, they explain the flight of a ball in the air. Exponentials, they are very happy, they explain a lot of things, but the 2 biggest ones are population and money. Okay? Now, in our introduction, I want you to be able to recognize which is which. And we can do that by simply plotting some points of what we have coming around. Notice the scale they set up here, 1 through 6, and the y goes from 0 to 22, and that's not going to fit here, so maybe make these go by 2s. Plot this point, these points, and these points, looking at the y's for what kind of scale you have to make. And then we will match the stories and define which is an example of what kind of graph. Linear, exponential, quadratic, etc. So you can work with somebody sitting next to you. I'll give you about 2 minutes to get those graphs done. Go ahead, just plot the points, sketch the graphs.
So the first I use it's like sine scale. So 1 would go up by 2 times 30 like all.
So, I think it's 8.
Will you be able to start at 4 and go up by 30 or no? I kind of want to find 2.
Because if it's multiplied to the same time, it's easier to do the exercise. They just have to do why is the other something. All of them.
Find out. Wait, it doesn't go up to 13 or 19 or 20.
We just said adjust the scale.
Adjust the scale.
Okay, so, first off, what type of graph is the first graph?
Ooh,
Go ahead.
linear.
Linear, very good. It forms a straight line, you can tell because it's going up by a constant amount. Anthony, what do we got for the second line, buddy?
Exponent.
Good. How do you know it's exponential?
Because because as the x increases, the y starts to increase a little bit more. Like
That's a really good way to look at it, but that also happens on number 3. And you're right, number 2 is exponential, but number 3 is quadratic. Now, how do you tell the difference between a quadratic one and an exponential, Spencer?
Because the quadratic one is only, it's increasing by a set amount, and the quadratic one is like multiplying itself, and then the regular one's just increasing by a set amount.
Well, I overheard you say before that you thought b was exponential because it was doubling.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect answer. In an exponential function, you're being multiplied by the same number over again. Remember we had just y equals 3 to the x? That means each time you do it, you're multiplying by 3. Or y equals 2 to the x, so on and so forth. In this case, you're not multiplying by the same number. See, if I do times 3 would get me 9, it's only 7. Times 3 would get me 21. So it's clearly not linear, because we're changing the amount we're going up on. But we're not multiplying by the same thing either. And the truth is that if I drew the other half of this number line, you would see the other half of the quadratic. Okay? Story 1, the population size grows at a constant rate for some time, then doesn't change for a while, and then grows at a constant rate once again. Okay? That would be an example of key words there being constant rate. What does constant rate always tell you? Guys? It's going to be linear. Constant rate is linear, and this would be the fourth choice over here. Okay? So this would be story number 1. Then what does story 2 say? The population size grows somewhat fast at first, and then the rate of growth slows. Which one grows somewhat fast at first, then the rate slows? Someone who hasn't helped me yet. Yeah, Chloe? B is correct. Very good. This is storyline 2. It grows pretty fast, then the rate of growth slows. The population size declines to 0. Ah.
it's very confusing.
Yeah, none of them decline to 0. If it declines to 0, then it would kind of go down to here, and you would get a population of 0. And that doesn't happen on any of them. Yes?
I think I might know which one might be the closest.
Which one's closest?
I think it's C.
Yeah, C is not getting bigger, the other one's are. Okay, so we should be able to just recognize which is which. If we're doing that, we're in good shape. Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, toodaloo, ta-ta. Arrivederci, smile a lot, ciao, arrivederci, adios amigos, amigas, cheerio, garushus, kadafes, enjoy.
Following students from 205, Jeffrey Tejada, Jacob Christie, Ali Hart, Sydney Bacon, and Spencer Schlitz to room 205, please. That's Jeffrey Tejada, Jacob Christie, Ali Hart, Sydney Bacon, and Spencer Schlitz to room 205.
Keep up that good work, guys.
And I says I might get the graphing calculator today because I didn't understand it on my iPad.
Yeah, it's harder to understand, that's for sure.
Hi, Ashley.
How do you do?
These students also to guidance, please. Ismail Fernandez, Jenna Townsend, Christopher Borja, Kevin Lucero. All to guidance. Good morning, South Ocean Middle School. Today is Wednesday, September 21st. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We have several announcements today. Our announcements include
Come on.
happy birthday to Christopher Delgado Valverde and happy birthday to Caitlin Sayers. Homework Club begins this week. As a matter of fact, it begins today. Homework Club takes place every Wednesday and Thursday after school in the library. Please bring your homework. And the late bus is available for those students who are eligible. Art Club members, your next meeting is tomorrow after school in 317, 245 to 345. Show choir will have auditions September 22nd and 23rd in the cafeteria after school. All singers and dancers should prepare to stay out both days until 5 p.m. See Mrs. DJ for more information.
It's about that muscle.
It's not about muscles, it's about wrinkles.
South Ocean Show Choir will be having a car wash this Saturday at Kin and Sal Lethal Auto Shop on Main Street. Other vendors will be there too. Please come out and support. Want to learn how to crochet? Join the Crochet Club. The first meeting will be today at 2:45 in room 317. All are welcome. Any questions? See Ms. Hubert. Students, hall sweeps are coming. I did explain the hall sweeps to our sixth graders. It's very, very important for you to know that you must arrive to each class on time every period. Very, very important. Should you get caught in a hall sweep, you will then report to the main lobby if you're in the hallway after that second bell rings, and you will be given a warning. The second time you are caught in a hall sweep, you will receive after-school detention. And after-school detention is typically held on Thursday afternoon. So please keep that in mind. We don't want students running in the hallway. However, it is important that you arrive to class on time each period. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
I don't have an iPhone 7.
Nobody did.
It's just
Not yet.
basically iPhone 6 with no headphone jack.
Yeah.
But I heard it's waterproof.
Yeah, but they underestimated it. They said it can only fly for 3 feet for only 30 minutes. But people are finding out they could stay underwater for like months now.
Yeah, but there's a reason why they do that. Because if they said the actual limits and then it failed, you could get them, they'd have to get phones and recalls and all these other things. Truth in advertising. But if they promise less and it goes above that, hey, that's okay. That works. My Canon 1DX camera costs over $6,000.
Oh, geez.
And
It's pretty good.
it says, as long as it's got a weather-sealed lens on it, supposedly you can drop it in the water. I know one person who claims to have dropped it in water, salt water, for as much as 30 seconds. Only a couple of feet deep. And he pulled it up, and it works fine. There was never a problem with it. But they never say it's waterproof. They say it's water resistant.
Yeah, that's.
So they say if you have it out in the rain, and you get hit with a bunch of rain, you have nothing to worry about. But they never say you can drop it in water, even though it appears that a lot of people have said, hey, I've dropped it in water, and it's been okay. So, all right. Now, what we are going to do today,
How long can an iPhone actually be underwater?
we don't know,
She got a BlackBerry.
okay? Why would I want to get a BlackBerry?
It's trash.
The reason I have an iPhone is really, really simple.
Get a Nokia.
No, the reason I have an iPhone,
Android's
it's
trash, right?
very simple. First off, my laptop is a Mac. This is my personal laptop. This is the school's laptop that they give me. The school laptop is a Mac. My personal laptop is a Mac. all of my photography stuff is on this laptop. Now, the phone syncs to my iPad, which syncs to my laptop. So if I make a tutoring appointment to tutor some kid at, say, well, here's an example. I tutor Tuesdays at Patchwork Library at 5:30 to 7:30, every Tuesday. If I put it in that phone, it automatically goes in the iPad, it automatically goes into the MacBook, and I don't have to do it. If I send a text message to an iPhone user, it not only appears on my iPhone, it goes on my iPad. If I have my phone in the first floor of my house, I usually keep the iPad on my second floor of the house, and my phone rings on the first floor, my iPad rings on the second floor, and I can go use my iPad to talk through my phone without ever going down to the phone. So it's the fact that these things can communicate to each other that makes me use it. Now, I have found that the iPhone sometimes breaks and it'll skits.
Let's see the mental.
And they also have a limited lifespan. They don't go on forever and ever. However, my laptops run like clockwork. Never an issue with the laptops. What I want out of a car or out of a computer, I want no headaches. I don't want to be aggravated. I don't want to have to go to the dealership, drop the car off, and then wait around for it to get fixed or just get inconvenienced. So I pay more for my MacBook Pro. This MacBook Pro, a little over $2,000. But this one is made out of what they call solid state circuitry. It boots up in about 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. I hit power and it's up and running like that. I don't have to, you know how most computers you gotta wait and wait and wait and it goes through all those checks and it takes like a minute and a half? This doesn't do that. It's also very light, not heavy at all. This laptop is way heavier, not even close. And Microsoft's crashed constantly. The last, listen, the last MacBook Pro I bought is still running. I bought it 8 years ago. Jimmy uses it. So it's a great laptop. It's just that the problem with older computers and older laptops is that the software keeps getting better and better and better. And it's so good that it won't run, or it demands such a good computer, it won't run on the old computers. It's kind of like this. You take the new games that they have. They require so much memory that if you put them on the old gaming consoles, they won't run. Because there's just not enough memory in the old ones. So, but the computer itself works fine. Jimmy has no problem with the computer itself. So I spent, I want to say, about $1,800 on that laptop that Jimmy now has, and it's 8 years old and it's still working. I defy you to find a Dell or a PC that's 8 years old and still working.
My computer that lasts a year.
It only lasted a year.
Next to my brother.
Yeah, I find them frustrating for sure. Okay, so, oh, I have to stop my recording here. Very strange. For some reason,
Windows 10 and then just put it $500.
for some very strange reason, it all of a sudden, and when it does that,